Sí, no lo muevas.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Local elected officials, by community organizations, by community leaders to respond to the unprecedented aggressions that we have seen in our communities. We're also here today to reaffirm the dignity and the rights of border families. To start today's press conference, I want to introduce Samantha Singleton. She is the policy director at the Border Network for Human Rights.
Thank you, Alan. My name is Samantha Singleton, and I do serve as the policy director for the Border Network for Human Rights. We're gathered here today not because we want to be, but because our community has been forced into fear. Across El Paso, immigration and customs enforcement has escalated actions deliberately targeting border families. These actions have turned neighborhoods into places of surveillance, homes into spaces of anxiety, and childhood into a time of uncertainty, inflicting deep trauma on families who are part of the very fabric of this city. When government power is used to terrorize community without transparency or accountability, when constitutional protections are ignored, that is not law and order. That is an abuse of power. These enforcement practices do not protect our community, they destabilize it. And while immigrant families are the immediate target, the harm reaches all of us. The Constitution does not come with an immigration status requirement. Due process is not optional. Human dignity is not negotiable. We demand accountability and transparency. We call for an immediate end to enforcement practices rooted in intimidation, racial profiling, and secrecy. And we call on our federal agencies to answer to the people that they are meant to serve. Most importantly, we affirm a simple truth. Our families deserve to live without fear. We will not accept policies that dehumanize our people. We will not stop organizing. We will not stop speaking out, and we will continue to demand justice. Those in power who believe this community is going to remain silent, you are mistaken. Our message is very clear. In the raids, in the terror, respect our rights, respect our humanity. We will continue to defend with courage, compassion, and unwavering resolve. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. I now want to introduce El Paso County Judge Ricardo Samaniego.
First of all, I want to thank the media. You have been very kind, and we expect accuracy, and you've always done that. So we're very pleased to be able to. We're very pleased that you're here. I've received a lot of calls that where's the elected officials and why are we so silent? And we've never been silent. Here we are today to make sure that our community understands. We've gone through a lot of difficult things, compounded by a pandemic that was one of the worst, compounded by Walmart tragedy that all of us knew what had happened there. We could be divided in a lot of different things, that maybe the approach to law enforcement, maybe the border policy, but this community will not be divided with respect to people, their dignity, and treating people properly. And this is a message that, we've always said the timing is very, very important. People are thinking that this is not sufficient, as what's happening right now in El Paso is not sufficient for what we're doing. And I know and I recognize that the best thing that El Paso always does is that we act quickly and that we're ready for the future. And we want to make sure that they understand that we are going to stand up to our community. This is a beautiful community. This is a community that sometimes people don't quite understand. It's very unique. And so when people come from outside, they have a very difficult time. And we need respect and dignity. And we're not sure that someone that doesn't understand our community can fully grasp the importance. We are here to listen. We are here. Nobody calls us. Nobody says, hey, this is what we're up to. They don't communicate to us. This is our community. We know what we need to do to stand up to our community. We got some great people who are going to be speaking here after I speak. We've got Raymond Seta from LULAC, who's done a great job in LULAC to be able to understand what's going to happen here. So let it be, if people don't think we're nationalistic, my God, we're the veterans capital of the United States of America. We have 55,000 veterans here in El Paso. So we are very nationalistic. This is not about that. It's about understanding and protecting. We do not want to be where Chicago is. We do not want to be where Minneapolis is right now. And we're going to make sure We do not want, it is so sad. I wish I could show you some of the texts of people saying, I'm scared to leave my house. I'm a citizen, and just because I don't happen to have a profile, a different profile, I'm scared to get out of my house. These are citizens of the United States of America that are feeling threatened. This is not El Paso. This is not what happens in El Paso. So we're going to do everything to collaborate. We're going to do everything, but I can guarantee you, this is a line in the sand. We've always known that we dig that line on the sand. We're not going to let one more person get hurt without us standing up to that. So our community, de veras, de todo corazón, siéntanse seguros, estamos aquí para ustedes. Están gente muy importante aquí que tiene mucho valor y yo sé que vamos a hacer todo lo posible para asegurar que somos una comunidad muy unida. So our community, please come together. Like I said, be divided in other things. This is not a time to be divided, as the dignity and the respect that every person that is here in El Paso should get the same level of respect. So muchas gracias once again to our media, but we are not silent. We're doing everything possible to make sure that we stand up to our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge Samaniego. I now want to introduce County Commissioner David Stout.
Good morning. Buenos dias. I'm David Stout, County Commissioner for Precinct 2. Seems to me that all too often we have to find ourselves in this type of situation where we have to speak out against these types of injustices. But I'm glad to be here, standing shoulder to shoulder with all of these amazing leaders in this community, to talk about this once again. From El Paso to Minnesota, from border communities to major cities, immigration and customs enforcement has become an instrument of fear under the current administration. Families are being torn apart, parents are being disappeared, children are being left traumatized. Door-to-door operations have spread fear amongst not just immigrant communities, but even subjecting U.S. citizens to constant surveillance and threat. They're not isolated incidences. These are results of deliberate policy choices and actions that treat immigrants as enemies rather than human beings. We're seeing ICE conduct enforcement in ways that are secretive. Officers often do not display their names, their badges. They are masking up. This lack of transparency is making it impossible for communities to hold anyone accountable, and it erodes trust in law enforcement, turning law enforcement against the community members, and it's destroying the very foundation of community and safety. Everyone is becoming less safe because of this. And here is the truth. Power without accountability is oppression. Fear in the streets is a failure in leadership. No one should live in the shadow of secrecy. Federal immigration enforcement must operate under clear, enforceable standards. Independent oversight, transparency, and accountability are not optional. No agency should exercise power in our communities without public accountability. And this is not about politics, it's about governance, good governance, oversight, and the safety of our communities, the safety of our neighbors. When agencies operate in the shadows without accountability, everyone suffers. Our communities deserve so much better. So we must continue to fight for transparency, for safety, and for justice. And beyond that, we need immigration reform that is not only comprehensive, but also compassionate. We need policies that uphold human dignity, strengthen families, and respect values that our communities live by every day. And as we approach Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we need to remember his legacy that teaches us nonviolence, love, and truth, unity in the face of oppression. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
I now want to introduce City Representative Dr. Josh Acevedo.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think what we are living through today
or symptoms of what happens when an administration takes over and use that power and instill fear to lead around the country. There are many atrocities that have been committed over the past year. These things have really escalated in the last few months. Here in El Paso, we have seen Camp East, Montana get built, and that was over $1 billion to build that. We don't want that in El Paso. Those are not El Paso values. And to further cement that into your brains, I want to tell you, our city budget is over $1 billion. Our El Paso water budget is over $1 billion. We just had a water crisis this week. Imagine if we would have used those $1 billion for our pipes, for our water here in El Paso, for other city services. We could always provide more healthcare in El Paso. Instead, we're using that money to put people there in really subpar conditions. We've heard that they're not cleaning the facility correctly. They are offering horrible food to people, and that is not something that we should stand for. And as we see what has happened in Minneapolis, what has happened in other communities across the country, we don't want ICE in our communities. And I think we all feel that way up here, and many people that we represent know that those are not our values, and we need to continue to make sure that we speak up against these injustices. As we have seen, these people are committing these atrocities while they're masked. They're wearing a mask for a reason, right? They probably don't want to be seen doing these atrocities, but they're still committing them. And we need to continue to demand that transparency from that administration and understand what is happening across this country. So I really want to encourage everybody to continue to peacefully protest and speak up against what is happening in this country. This is not a time that we could sit down and stay silent. This is how authoritarianism continues to build up, when people just sit down and stay silent. So I want to encourage people to make sure that we are speaking up, that we are protecting one another. People are going out with documentation, whether they're citizens or not citizens, because no one is safe under this right now. And I want to make sure that we continue to have these safe spaces. People can go work every day. People can enjoy their homes and have this safe community. El Paso's always been a safe community, and we need to show what the border is. For too long, our border has been politicized for the wrong reasons, and we know what El Paso values are, and we need to demonstrate what those values are to the country and not let anybody continue writing our story. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is the Most Reverend Bishop Sykes.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be here with you. There are moments when lines are crossed, and it is difficult to know how we could ever come back. The death of Rene Good, the death of Geraldo Lunas Campos in detention here, which was recently ruled a homicide, and the violence that we're witnessing both in the closed spaces of immigrant detention centers and now openly on streets throughout the country seem to be one of those moments. A line has been crossed in our hearts and in our society. When did we become a bully state in which might is equated with right? When did we betray the founding principles of this country, that all are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights? The urgent need to find our way back requires that we recognize, as Pope Leo has said, that every migrant is a person and as such has inalienable rights that must be respected in every situation. And not only that, but even when a crime has been committed, no person can ever be reduced to the crimes they have committed. I make an urgent plea today that the government and immigration enforcement pull back from the edge and respect the sanctity of every human life. the constitutional and civil rights guaranteed to all in this country, to cease actions that degrade the moral and public order, and take action to address the impunity and lack of accountability we are witnessing in the indiscriminate enforcement taking place every day. We must move towards meaningful reforms and sensible, targeted enforcement measures that respect human dignity. As a pastor, including to the souls of the many persons in the El Paso community who work every day in immigration enforcement, I also urge you to obey the dictates of conscience and to respect the sanctity of every human life. No one can be compelled to violate conscience or to obey an immoral order. There is nothing we can do to bring back Renee or Gerald. I pray for their souls and ours, but we can commit today to rebuilding, to working for peace, and to seeing the image of God in one another. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Pastor Michael Gray.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you so much for allowing us to have this space. What a time and what a season we find ourselves in here in the city of El Paso. A few years ago, we adopted a slogan, one people, one struggle. And we continue to echo for the hearts and the minds of those who will take us to a place long ago thought to be finished. We're repeating history. Sunday, we will celebrate the birthday of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the nonviolence, the peace, the love that brings communities together, that stand in solidarity. ICE is an infestation, not only in our city, but in our nation. It speaks of a time that we thought had been dissolved because of civil rights and human rights, voting rights. Somewhere along the line, we became complacent. We began to believe narratives that did not support our one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Indeed, today, we must come together here in the city of El Paso. We must stand in solidarity. We must be our brother's keeper. I stand before you as a member of the faith-based community, and the glory and the power of God that resonates even in my bones. We remember August the 3rd. We remember the tragedies that infested our cities. And we came together for such a time as this. I implore you, El Paso, we are here for you. We are here with you. We stand in the power of the God of Abraham, and we shall not be moved. God bless you, and God keep you, is my prayer.
Thank you, Pastor. Our next speaker is Ray Mancera. He's the National Vice President at LULAC.
Thank you. Buenas tardes. I join all my brothers and sisters behind me, especially the County Judge Ricardo Samaniego, to stand up here and speak. We have our religious brothers and sisters, but I do want to share the following. LULAC founded 1929, celebrating 97 years of existence. 20 years before, the great NAACP was founded in 1909. And I'm glad to see my brothers and sisters here with us. Those of us that have had the privilege of traveling throughout the United States, we pride ourselves of being an American, of knowing that in our country, civil rights and the right to appeal to our government and to our judicial system, we pride ourselves. I wonder how they're seeing us now throughout the world, that our rights are being abused. Our due process is being eroded. So all I'm here is to join you all and say that LULAC will continue like we have for 97 years to continue to fight for the rights of Hispanic Americans, Raza, Chicanos, Latinos, however we want to call ourselves, that we want to be enjoy the American dream like any other American, not more, not less. So thank you, Judge, for bringing us all together. And I would like to finish with the following. No se les olvide de que el trabajo tiene que hacer las personas que están en poder del sistema policíaco. Si tienen tickets, por favor, vayan a pagarlos. Si tienen, no se metan en problemas, no anden tomando, porque van a buscar cualquier oportunidad para cuando los detengan. Si tienen alguna situación legal, le van a hablar a ICE. No les den esa oportunidad. Y también, obviamente, los que tenemos el pasaporte americano, yo nunca me imaginé que iba a tener que cargarlo, pero yo lo tengo que cargar, porque de aquí a que les digo que yo soy ciudadano norteamericano, no me van a dar la oportunidad. Sí, tú y quién más. Por eso les pido que carguen sus pasaportes, su identificación, porque no importa qué digamos, ellos van a hacer lo que van a tener que hacer. LULAC respeta, we respect law and order, because we know it's a wonderful thing called due process, the courts, and we want to continue to enjoy that, what our forefathers left us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Melissa Lopez. She's the Executive Director of Estrella del Paso.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Melissa Lopez. I am the Executive Director and an attorney at Estrella del Paso. Quisiera dar mis comentarios en español porque quiero darlos directamente a la comunidad. Nosotros nos encontramos aquí en El Paso siempre en medio y al frente de la situación migratoria. Nosotros enfrentamos esto y lo hemos estado enfrentando por los últimos 40 años en Estrella del Paso. Nosotros, junto con nuestras colegas de las Américas, somos las únicas dos organizaciones aquí en El Paso legal que ofrecen servicios hacia personas que se encuentran tratando de arreglar su estatus migratorio o evitar la deportación. Y en este momento quiero que sepan que no están solos. Nosotros por los últimos 40 años hemos estado con ustedes y vamos a estar aquí por los siguientes 40 años y más. Porque en este momento más que nunca, nuestra comunidad, nuestros compañeros, nuestros amigos, nuestras amistades, nuestras familias nos necesitan. Quiero que sepan que es muy importante que en este momento que sepan cuál es su situación migratoria y cuál es la manera mejor de protegerse. Porque nos encontramos en una situación muy difícil. Estamos viendo redadas, estamos viendo que ICE está tomando acciones junto con diferentes partes del gobierno a todas horas de la noche y del día. Necesitan tener mucho cuidado. Necesitan tomar en cuenta que cuando se enfrentan con un oficial de ICE, acuérdense que ustedes estando en los Estados Unidos, aunque les digan algo totalmente diferente, uno tiene el derecho de permanecer en silencio. Y eso es un derecho que tiene más poder que todo lo demás. Entonces, yo sé que es muy fácil decir, no temen. Estamos aquí para apoyarlos, estamos aquí. Pero sinceramente, mi corazón se está quebrando todos los días porque nosotros vemos el sufrimiento de nuestra comunidad, pero nosotros estamos aquí para apoyarlos y que sientan que no están solos. As an attorney, I can tell you that for me, I went to law school with this idea of the system of justice. The courts are going to protect you. You have due process and you have legal rights. And unfortunately, what we've seen in the last year is a complete breakdown of our judicial system. Courts that are supposed to stand up for people's rights and defend people's rights have not done that. And so we as a community have to come together and protect our community. We have to stand up in the same way that we've seen done in Chicago and in Minneapolis. We have to come together as a community to make sure that people know that they can't mess with us. Because at the end of the day, we stand together just the way that we're standing together today. We stand together as a community, and you can't come after my neighbor, and you can't come after my family member, and you can't come after the stranger who just happens to be in a gas station, because we won't allow that. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Ruben Garcia. He's the Executive Director of Annunciation House.
I too, like all the other speakers, am truly grateful for the media's presence to cover this moment where leadership from across the spectrum of El Paso have gathered to reaffirm our belief that we are a country that is based on a constitution. Right behind me, we have a poster that reminds us of the Constitution of the United States. What we have been experiencing is an incredible amount of actions that have been based on lies. They have been based on things that are simply not true. What the group of people that have gathered here today are trying to communicate emphatically and clearly to everyone is that we remain rooted in the belief that the Constitution is ultimately what is going to govern us, and that we are a reflection of the ever-growing concern among the people of the United States, among the people here in El Paso, that where we are seeing our Constitution completely negated. And that is of great, great concern as we move forward. It is incredibly important that we continue together. It is incredibly important that we continue to march on our streets together to express our dissatisfaction, our disagreement with the policies that are being implemented right now, as a way of making it known that we do not want the Constitution to be eliminated in the United States. We do not want the peaceful protest of people across the country to become the pretext for an insurrection act declaration, the use of the military, to be used as a way to threaten our electoral process as we march toward November, when we're going to have the midterm elections, and how absolutely important it is that all of us realize that those elections must absolutely take place, that nothing will be allowed to impede the right of millions and millions of people to go to the polls and express their will, especially considering that we celebrate the 250th anniversary of a country that started on the belief, as has been already mentioned, that we are all created equal. We've spent 250 years understanding the depth of that statement, that it includes an ever-expanding part of our population. I thank you all for gathering, and I truly believe that it is going to be necessary for us to express our will time and time again in the months to come. Thank you.
Our last speaker for today is Marisa Limon Garza. She is the Executive Director of Las Americas Immigrant Advocacy Center.
Buenas tardes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and many thanks to the Border Network for Human Rights and Judge Samaniego for convening us. Please know that all of the people here, the community that's present, has the amazing privilege of being able to take time out of their day to stand in solidarity with people in our community under attack by ICE, which is all of us. And I want to remind you that they represent thousands of El Pasoans. thousands of fronterizos that are being impacted by this law enforcement agency. They also represent the thousands of people detained in immigration detention right now in our region, whether it's thousands at Camp East Montana, close to thousands at the El Paso Processing Center, and another 1,000 at the Otero County Processing Center. And so we as a community, we know a few things to be true. Sabemos que somos un pueblo unido. We are one El Paso. We also know que todos somos migrantes. We also know que todos somos ICE. And that's a difficult challenge to hold. That one of the best ways to earn a living, even though not all money is good money, and to put food on your table is to work for this engine, this machine. And here's what I implore you. El Paso, we are a people of good conscience. We think, we care, we love. We have big hearts. Any person that comes from outside of our community, that's one of the first things they'll say about coming to El Paso. And so the cruelty is an option. We can enforce matters, we can follow orders. The cruelty should not be a requirement. And there is agency. Each person can decide how they show up for one another, how they show up for community, how we love our neighbors as ourselves. And so what we know to be true is that we stand with you. I may enjoy some privileges in the eyes of ICE and the way that they've been enforcing their directives. I could just as easily be detained today as you or as my neighbor. They ultimately want a body in a bed in a detention center to make money off of us, to then cause terror and harm and fear with the goal that we will leave. That we will leave this country that is our home, that has been our native home for time immemorial. And what we know to be true is that that's not what we stand for. That's not who we are, that's not in our values. And so please know, all of El Paso no están solos, we are with you. We're figuring out ways to be of best support to you. No one should be suffering in silence. The fear will make you freeze. And the only way to counter the fear is with action. And some folks are not going to be able to take that first step if they don't have someone holding their hand. So if you have the capacity to hold your neighbor's hand and to help them understand the facts, not rumors, not things you've heard on social media necessarily, but real laws, please help your neighbor. We've only got us, but what a good position to be in si todos somos El Paso. Thank you.
Thank you. To close today's event, I just want to thank all of our speakers. I want to thank County Judge Samaniego for allowing us to put this together. I want to thank our partners at Portland Rainbow Center, Familias Unidas del Chamizal, Las Américas, Estrella del Paso, Indivisible 915, all of us who are constantly doing this work. And with that, I thank all of you as well for coming to cover today's event. Thank you.
Una pregunta, ¿cuál es la postura respecto a la muerte del migrante en la detención en las correcciones humanas? Hay obviamente hay gente que murió y en relación de nueva que nació la vida, dicen que
Estoy muy involucrado, estoy hablando con la congresista Verónica Escobar porque ella maneja los aspectos federales, todavía no tenemos todos los datos. Lo que sí les puedo decir es de que vamos a estar muy pendientes